Alright, let's see if we can get this story on a roll. Empathy, Chapter 2, Moving In. The bright Californian sun shone brightly above the city of San Francisco, its rays bouncing off of skyscrapers and houses alike. In one particular house, the sunlight fell through a window and crawled across the floor before reaching where Riley slept in her sleeping bag and spreading across her face. Hold on, Bill and Jill haven't been able to afford enough to get Riley a proper bed yet? I'm not having a go, I'm just saying. Grunting in annoyance, Riley stirred as her eyes fluttered open. Yawning, she sat up and stretched her arms above her head before running a hand through her messy hair. Pulling herself out of the sleeping bag, that says back, not bag, Riley left the room and made her way downstairs, dressed in gray cotton shorts and a baggy t-shirt. Padding down the stairs in bare feet, Riley smiled as she saw her mother sitting at the kitchen table. "Good morning," Riley greeted. "And good morning to you," Jill greeted in return, smiling at her daughter. "Feeling better today?" "I am," Riley answered as she took a seat at the table. "And I'm currently sitting where cars are coming down the road. So," her smile falling from her face as she nervously drummed her fingers on the tabletop. "Mom, I don't." Jill interrupted her daughter gently, reaching out and laying her hand on Riley's, stopping her drumming. "You don't have to apologize anymore." "Even for using your credit card?" Riley questioned guiltily. "Even for that, you little sneak," Jill replied as she booped Riley on the nose, causing the girl to giggle. "Now, hurry up, eat your breakfast, and go get dressed." "Why the rush?" Riley questioned. "It's Saturday." "Well, apparently the moving truck is finally showing up today," Jill explained with a grin. "Should be here in just a little while." "Really?" Riley asked excitedly, earning a nod from her mother. "Awesome!" "Oh, so the bed hasn't arrived yet. I see. Riley quickly jumped to her feet and began making breakfast, almost knocking her chair over in the process, much to her mother's amusement. "I wish I could have been able to see Inside Out while I had the chance. I'll probably get the DVD, along with the other DVD that will hopefully be mentioned in this chapter or next, since Inside Out has gotten a lot of good reviews, and I've seen videos saying it's one of the greatest Pixar movies of all time. The thing is, with many recent events, I haven't really gotten around to seeing much stuff from Disney. I mean, yes, I am interested in Wreck-It Ralph, the second Wreck-It Ralph, and I'm quite obviously happy that Frozen is going to appear in Kingdom Hearts 3, along with another world based on Pirates of the Caribbean at World's End. It's just, the last kind of Disney film that I saw was Pirates of the Caribbean 5, which ended up becoming my favorite of the films. I might explain why one day, but for now, I'm saying it as it is. Alright, let's continue. A short while later, the Andersons were standing outside their new home, looking down a slanted street for any signs of the moving truck. Riley was now dressed in a rainbow-colored sweater and blue jeans. "Rocking that rainbow look, Riley. Great job." Her white sneakers on tiptoe as she looked for the truck. "There it is!" Riley exclaimed as a box truck turned the corner and began rumbling its way up the hill towards the Andersons. "Wait a minute," Bill said, narrowing his eyes and frowning in confusion. "That's not the moving company we hired." I hope you'll enjoy me recording all of this while walking down the street with my dog, where cars are going to be zooming down and lots of background noise is going to be heard. You don't mind a bit of background noise, right? I wish I could show you me just recording and reading the story while I'm walking, but I don't want to be too distracted because at the moment I have to watch out for cars at the same time as recording, which is gonna make my chapter's recording time go a bit slowly. I'm trying not to make them a bit too long. That's what I'm trying to do, but I'm also trying to keep myself safe as I'm recording these. I hope you understand. As they watched, I'm going to continue. The truck pulled to the side of the road and came to a stop in front of the house across the street from the Andersons. Is somebody moving in? Jill pondered aloud as movers exited the truck and moved around to the back. What are the odds? Bill snorted in amusement as he placed his hands on his hips. Hey, look! Riley spoke up, pointing down the street as a taxi came into view. Hi, taxi! The taxi rolled up the hill and came to a stop behind the truck a moment before two people got out. Because of course, you can't have a good moving ceremony where you move house to a new life without having the crazy taxi involved, now can you? Crazy taxi. Okay, I'm gonna stop dawdling. Ooh. Does this description sound familiar? One was a middle-aged woman of obvious Italian descent, with long brown hair and olive skin, dressed in a white blouse and green capri. Sorry, crossing the road again. The other person was a girl roughly Riley's age, looking almost exactly like the older woman, though her skin was much darker and her hair was extremely curly, forming a fizzy brown cloud around her head. She wore a red zip-up hoodie along with a green and white striped t-shirt, blue jeans, and red sneakers. As she got out of the taxi, she picked up an animal carrier and held it in one hand. The woman looked up at the house as she circled around to the back of the taxi, before noticing the Andersons watching them. Oh, hello! The woman greeted with a friendly wave. Hello, Jill greeted in return. Moving in? Bill questioned. Yeah, the woman replied as she and the girl pulled suitcases out of the back of the crazy taxi before she walked around to the front and paid the driver. So away, Bill replied as another box truck turned the corner and made its way up the street just as the crazy taxi drove off. Well, what do you know? The woman said with a laugh as the truck pulled up in front of the Andersons' house. Must be a new neighborhood. Or the people who lived it before us knew something we don't. Bill commented, earning a roll of the eyes from his wife as they stepped out of the way of the movers exiting the truck. I'm going through a tunnel. Right. Sorry about the long pause. Well, I guess we should introduce ourselves since we're neighbors now, the woman said as she walked across the street and held her hand out. Lucy Tucci. Bill Anderson, Bill replied as he shook her hand. Jill, his wife added, before taking her daughter by the shoulders and gently moving her in front of her. And this is our daughter, Riley. It's nice to meet you, Riley greeted with a shy smile. You too, Lucy replied, before putting her arm around the other girl and pulling her forward. This is my daughter, Gratuity. I'm not going to question how Gratuity is actually a name because I think it's interesting. Just walking by a skater park where you can hear the laughing. You know what? Sorry to keep babbling on about this, but maybe this is natural. Since I'm recording these out in the great outdoors while walking, it's kind of a good exercise. If people ask, you just have to say, I'm recording a video with my phone, and then, what do you know? D, you recorder? I think I'm liking you a lot than before. Hey, Gratuity replied. Riley noticing an accent that Lucy herself didn't possess. "Where are you all coming from?" Lucy questioned. "Minnesota," Jill replied. "You?" "Barbados," Lucy answered with a grin. "Barbados?" Bill said in astonishment. "Boy, and I thought we had a big change." "I know what you mean," Lucy laughed, before it fell slightly as she looked at Gratuity, the girl busy looking at the animal in the crate. "It can be tough." Jill noticed the look, a thoughtful expression appearing on her face as she looked over at Riley. "Riley," Jill spoke up, catching her daughter's attention. "Why don't you take Gratuity and show her the neighborhood? Maybe bring her over to that cafe you found out about last night." Yeah, I guess I could," Riley replied, glancing over at Gratuity and noting the other girl's own apprehension. "Don't you guys need help, though? "That's what the movers are for," Jill explained, ignoring the dubious look Bill was giving her. "We'll have your stuff brought up to your room so you can unpack it later." "I think it's a wonderful idea," Lucy agreed before turning towards her daughter. "Why don't you go with Riley?" "Oh, okay," Gratuity replied nervously before glancing down at the crate. "Can I bring Pig with me?" "Okay," Lucy agreed with a sigh. "Just make sure you don't lose him." Smiling, Gratuity reached down and opened up the crate, allowing a pudgy, calico cat with a short, squiggly tail to step out. The cat stretched his legs before happily rubbing against Gratuity's legs. Garudity. "Finmonster, I really like your story, and I don't really mind all the spelling mistakes. Because if they could come up with such classics as Garudity, I don't really mind one bit." "Alright," Gratuity said, turning her attention towards Riley. "Lead the way." Nodding, Riley began walking down the street, waving to her parents as Gratuity and Pig followed behind. "Be back before sundown," Bill called after them, earning a thumbs up from Riley as they turned the corner and disappeared. Another car. Across the road again. "Are you sure this is a good idea?" Bill questioned as he turned back to his wife after what happened last night. "Yes, I do," Joe replied pointedly. "She's not a baby, Bill. We don't have to keep an eye on her all the time. Plus, this will give her a chance to make a friend. Maybe two. She needs friends here. Both of those girls do. Because friendship is magic." I cannot believe I just referenced MLP while reading a crossover between Big Hero 6 and Inside Out. What am I doing with my life? I'm kidding, my life is awesome. Bill sighed and ran ahead through his hair but offered no further argument. Lucy, however, had a concerned look on your face. Her face. "I'm sorry, I don't mean to pry," Lucy spoke up, "but what happened last night?" Bill glanced at Jill, who shrugged, prompting Bill to sigh as he turned his attention back towards Lucy. "Well, I suppose we'll need something to do while the movers work," Bill commentated. "Do you like coffee? I think I'm gonna need someone to tell this story." Lucy nodded in reply before following the Andersons into their house. At the same time, Riley and Gratuity walked side by side down the street, an awkward silence between them, Pig padding along with them. "So," Riley spoke up, looking to break the silence. "Gratuity, was it?" Yes and no," the girl replied, her accent becoming more apparent to Riley now. "Just call me Tip, okay?" "Yeah, sure," Riley replied, before chuckling as she got the joke before giving Tip a ponderous look. I hope you don't mind me chuckling. It's just when the story does it, I also need to do it too. Helps with the immersion. What? Tip questioned suspiciously as she glanced at Riley. Nothing, Riley replied quickly, flushing with embarrassment. I was just... your accent. What about my accent? Tip asked pointedly. It's just... Riley started, trying to quickly put her thoughts together. Your mom doesn't seem to have one, but you do. I was just wondering why. Honestly, the last thing I want to do when I was talking to someone who comes from another country was to ask about their accent, but I guess you could find out about it. Oh, never mind. Oh, Tip replied, suddenly embarrassed for being so defensive. My mom's originally from the States. I was born in Barbados, so, you know, I picked up the accent. Okay, Riley stated, nodding thoughtfully. That makes sense. The two walked in silence for a few moments before Tip smirked. I was honestly going to ask you about yours, Tip stated. What? Riley asked in confusion. I don't have an accent. Yeah, you do, Tip answered with a smirk, earning a small smile from Riley. Well, as you may or may not know, I am from the United Kingdom. This is my home. I just picked up the American accent from watching Doctor Who with Captain Jack Harkness, who was one of my favorite characters. Just wanted to put that out there. I do not. I have a completely normal American accent, don't you know? Riley shot back, deliberately putting on an over-the-top Minnesotan accent, causing Tip to snort with laughter, which in turn caused Riley to laugh as well. I didn't even know how to do Minnesota, and I found myself laughing too. So, where are we going anyway? Tip asked as they walked. This place called the Lucky Cat, Riley answered as she collected herself. It any good? Tip questioned, placing her hands in the pocket of her hoodie. I don't know. I've never been, Riley explained with a shrug. It's the first time. Wait, then why are we going there? Tip asked in confusion. This guy I met suggested it, Riley answered as she tucked a loose strand of hair behind her ear, before noticing the dubious expression Tip was giving her. Look, I've only been here for a couple of days. All I know is you don't get pizza from the place around the corner. Why not? Tip questioned, quirking an eyebrow at Riley. They put broccoli on their pizza, Riley said, leaning towards Tip and keeping her voice low as if she was revealing the darkest of truths. I like broccoli, Tip replied, smirking as Riley abruptly pulled away. I'm not sure you and I can be friends now, Riley stated as she gave Tip a surprise look. Ready to laugh from the girl. Okay. I'm sorry, I just had to get the chuckle out. It was like an inside joke in Inside Out, where it was established that Riley, as a young girl, as we all do, did not like broccoli, and still does not like broccoli, and when they first arrived in San Francisco, or San Fransokyo, as the story is calling it now, well, they put broccoli on pizza, and I thought that people complaining about pineapple on pizza, when we've clearly had it for about a decade, was ridiculous. I think that broccoli and pizza is a good idea. Am I even speaking close to the phone as I'm... The problem with recording on a phone with DE recorder is that sometimes you don't really know if it's picking up your voice, whether it's away or not. So, a boy told you about this place, huh? Tip questioned as she recollected herself. Yeah, Riley answered with a nod. His aunt owns the place. They live in the apartment above it, I guess. Oh, Tip said, drawing out the word as a look of understanding passed over her face before it morphed into a mischievous smile. So, we're actually going to some boy's house. What? Riley questioned in surprise, her cheeks turning red as she sputtered. No, I mean, yeah, but that's not, like, why we're going there. Tip replied, giving Riley a knowing look. Tell me about this boy. Really? Riley questioned, before sighing in exasperation as she continued. He's just, a guy. He's like 2 years older. Oh, so he's an older boy, Tip interrupted, smirking at Riley. Stop, Riley groaned, causing Tip to laugh. If you're like this all the time, there's no way I'm hanging out with you anymore, even if you are my neighbor. Okay, I'm sorry, Tip said through her giggles. Tell me about him, really. His name is Hiro, Riley explained. He seems pretty nice, and he's super smart, apparently. How smart is super smart? Tip questioned. He's already graduated high school, I guess? Riley replied, her expression showing she wasn't sure she believed what she was saying. You're joking, Tip said in surprise. Not according to him and his brother, Riley stated with a shrug. Wow, what does he do then? Tip asked. Apparently he takes part in bot fights, Riley answered. I mean, that's how I met him. Excuse me? Tip questioned. You're going to have to explain that one to me. It's kind of a long story, Riley replied uncertainly. I've got the time, Tip argued with a shrug, and you are not leaving the story at that. Just like how I know that I can't leave my own story, Lights of Unity, Tambalon Returns. But I also know that I need to find some story ideas and then actually find the time to get my brain to work, get it in gear, and get to writing. Did I let this slip out? I let it slip out, sorry. Alright. Riley chuckled, before going into the reason for and what had happened to her since coming to San Francisco, with special focus on the events of the night before. Wow, Tip commented with wide eyes after Riley had finished. That's some pretty heavy stuff. Yeah, Riley said with a sad sigh. I still can't believe I almost ran away. Oh yeah, I'm sure you're upset about that, Tip commented. I was more talking about the fact you took a hockey stick to some guy's knees. It's no big deal, Riley said with a dismissive shrug. I've seen worse on the ice, and I'm not even a teenager yet. You play a lot of hockey? Tip questioned. Yeah, Riley answered before sighing. I mean, I did. You don't like it anymore? Tip asked. It's not that, Riley answered. I still love hockey. I mean, they still have a league here, but no one around here seems to care. Not like they did back in Minnesota. Oh, I don't want to hear it, Tip grumbled as she frowned at Riley. Huh? Riley questioned in confusion. Do you know what the most popular sport on Barbados is? Tip questioned, earning a shake of the head from Riley. It's cricket. Do you know that my voice is still stumbling even as I'm continuing to read this? I've got to find somewhere quieter to sit down so I can finish reading this. Anyway. What's cricket? Riley asked curiously. Exactly! Tip exclaimed, pointing her finger at Riley, causing the other girl to jump slightly in surprise. Practically no one here has even heard of my favorite sport, let alone play it. It's one of the few things I dislike about moving to the States. So, I don't want to hear you whining about no one liking hockey. You got off easy. Okay. Riley replied, chuckling as she held her hands up in the placating gesture. So you didn't want to move either? Well, I wouldn't say that, Tip said. I mean, yeah, it sucks to leave all my friends behind, but my mom was always telling me stories about the States when I was younger. And it's especially exciting to come live here in San Francisco. I mean, don't get me wrong, Barbados isn't some backwater third world country or anything, but it doesn't have all the giant skyscrapers or new tech or the robots. The robots are especially cool. Yeah, Riley said, shrugging her shoulders. I guess. What? Tip questioned. What don't you like here? I mean, as much as I miss Minnesota, I do think it's cool moving to the big high-tech city after living in the suburbs my whole life. But, Tip pressed. I don't really like robots, Riley explained with another shrug. What's not to like? Tip questioned, surprised by Riley's response. Maybe it's because my dad works for a bot company and I've grown up around them, but they always seemed, I don't know, soulless to me. I suppose it's true, Tip relented with a shrug of her own. To each their own. Even the most soulless robots can grow a heart. That's what I believe. That's what I'll believe until the very day I die. Riley nodded as the two fell into silence for a short while. Over to the poo. And I'm picking it up. Once again, moving. I need to find somewhere to put it. Luckily there is a bin over there, so on we go. Lola, come on. So how much further to this place? Tip questioned as the two came to a crossroads and started to turn the corner. Shouldn't be much farther, Riley answered as she glanced at the building they were passing. It's pretty close. Oh hey, this is it. Pausing, Tip and Riley looked up to the building. At the building. Well, Finmonster, if there's anything you and I have in common, it's that we sometimes have spelling mistakes. Both vocally and written. It was a three-story house painted a light yellow, the bottom floor serving as the cafe, with large windows looking in on the business, the name Lucky Cat Cafe written across them. The two girls could see a few tables scattered around inside with a handful of patrons seated at them, enjoying pastries and drinks. Two tables were also set up outside the cafe, along with a chalkboard stand that displayed the day's specials. Sorry, I was just letting some guys pass. Should we go in? Tip questioned. I guess, Riley answered with a shrug before walking up to the door, Tip and Pig following behind her. Yeah, I don't think this is gonna be like 30 minutes. It's the beauty with recording these videos. I don't know how long I'm recording until I actually upload it and see how long it is. A bell rang as the door opened, grabbing the attention of Cass from her place behind the counter displaying pastries, or pasties, whatever. I'm gonna call them pastries because it's a fusion of America and the Queen's English. Specifically, the President's American and the Queen's English. Please don't burn me for that. Good morning, Cass began to say, pausing as she recognized Riley. Oh hey, it's you! Hello, cars, my old friend. You've come to honk at me again. Not honk, but usually drive by while I'm recording. Yeah, Riley said with a hint of shyness. Good morning, Miss Phillips. Oh, don't start with that, Cass said with a dismissive roll of her eyes. You can just call me Cass, Riley. Okay, Riley replied, nodding and smiling. Happy you found the place, all right, Cass said as she stepped around the counter before noticing Tip for the first time. And you brought a friend. What's your name, sweetie? Car. Actually, no, it's, Car. No, it's, Tip, ma'am, she answered, before glancing at Pig standing by her feet. Is this place cat-friendly? Well, we couldn't call ourselves the Lucky Cat if we weren't, Cass chuckled before turning to address someone else. Isn't that right, Mochi? Mochi is a sweet in Japan, but also in Big Hero 6 in this story, it's a cat. Just wait for the car to go past me. Following Cass's gaze, Riley and Tip saw a fat calico cat lounging on the stairs, whiter than Pig was despite their similar coloration. The cat opened its eyes and blinked at Cass before meowing lazily. Meow! Causing the others to chuckle. Noticing the other cat, Pig wandered over, sniffing at Mochi as the calico lazily swatted at his face to get him to stop. So, have a seat. I'll get you two something to eat, Cass said as she moved back towards the pastry counter. That's alright, Tip said with a hint of embarrassment as she followed Riley over to an empty table. I don't have any money. Oh, don't worry, it's on the house, Cass assured her, reaching down to grab a few choice pastries. I don't think I've seen you around here before. I really loved Aunt Cass in Big Hero 6 because she's so nice, and if she's going to give free pastries just this once to two people, one of whom she hadn't even met before, that is kind. That is really kind. I just moved in with my mom today, Tip explained. She lives across the street from me, Riley added. Well, isn't that something? Cass questioned with a laugh as she walked over to their table with a tray of pastries. Seems like our little neighborhood is going through a growth spurt. Where are you from originally? Barbados, Tip answered as Riley looked over the selection of pastries. Barbados? Cass gasped in surprise as Riley picked up a chocolate-covered donut. Oh, I've heard it's beautiful there. It is, Tip concurred as Riley took a bite of the donut. Though it's pretty beautiful here, too. Oh my god, this is really good! Riley exclaimed through mouthfuls of food. Thank you, Riley, Cass said with a chuckle. I make them myself. Have as many as you like. Really? Riley asked in surprise, glancing down to the platter before her, before looking back at Cass, while Tip picked up a pastry of her own and started eating it. I couldn't... You can, Cass replied. I owe you for saving my nephew from those thugs. Riley blushed at Cass's words, causing Tip to chuckle in amusement. Heroism is repaid with kindness. Kindness is repaid with heroism, always. Speaking of which, where is that boy? Cass pondered aloud before walking over to the staircase, checking to make sure the other patrons of the cafe didn't need her help as she went. Hero! She called up the stairs. Tadashi! A few seconds later, Tadashi came halfway down the stairs, Riley noticing the black baseball cap he now wore. Hero's still asleep, Aunt Cass, Tadashi explained. What's up? Well, that new friend of his is here, Cass explained, motioning towards where Riley and Tip sat. Looking in the indicated direction, Tadashi smiled as he caught sight of Riley. Hey, Riley, Tadashi greeted as he nodded at the girl. Happy you could find the place. Enjoying the food? It's delicious, Riley called back as she took another bite. What did I tell you? Tadashi questioned with a chuckle. Best in the city. Hey, sorry, I was just letting someone by me. Can you go out there and tell Hero to get his lazy butt out of bed? Cass requested. Will do, Tadashi replied with a grin and a nod before turning around and making his way back up the stairs. A few moments later, Riley and Tip heard a muffled bang followed by a cry of alarm, drawing their and the rest of the cafe's patrons' attentions upstairs. The two regarded each other for a moment before the sound of someone quickly descending the stairs quickly brought their attentions back in that direction. As the girls watched, Hero half ran, half stumbled down the stairs, clearly in a sleepy state. As he came to a stop at the bottom of the stairs, the girls could see he was dressed in nothing but a pair of blue boxers and the red t-shirt he had been wearing the night before. But what's going on? Hero asked deliriously as he quickly looked around the cafe, the patrons looking at him with smiles and shakes of their heads. What's... He trailed off as he caught sight of the table the girls were sitting at. Riley averted her eyes as she blushed, while Tip quirked an eyebrow at Hero and smirked in amusement. Cass stood to the side, cowering her mouth in an attempt to contain her giggles, while Tadashi stood in the middle of the staircase, grinning brightly at his brother. I'm gonna be heading back onto the street soon, so there'll be more cars. Sorry. Oh, Hiro muttered, waking up as realization dawned on him, his entire face turning red. Hi, Riley. Hi, Hiro, Riley replied, still not looking at him. I'm just gonna, Hiro began to say, pointing backwards with his thumb as he took a step towards the stairs. Yeah, Riley agreed as Tadashi began to snicker. Without another word, Hiro spun on his heel and rushed up the stairs, pausing only to punch his brother in the arm, which only caused Tadashi to laugh harder. As Hiro disappeared, Tadashi came down the stairs, recollecting himself as he walked over to Riley and Tip's table. Sorry about that. Tadashi apologized as he pulled a chair up for himself between the two girls and sat in it. I couldn't help myself. It's okay, Riley replied, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. I don't think we met yet, Tadashi said as he turned towards Tip and offered his hand. I'm Tadashi, Hiro's brother. Tip, the girl replied. I just moved in across the street from Riley and she was showing me around. Well, that's certainly nice of her, Tadashi commented, flashing a smile at Riley, who gave him a small smile back. Maybe I'll show you guys around the city today. At least after my brother makes himself presentable again. Tip chuckled at the comment, earning a confused look from Riley. How come you were so unfazed by that? Riley questioned. I'm from a tropical island, remember? Tip asked in return. I've seen more than that walking to school. Riley didn't say anything in reply as Hiro came down the stairs, now dressed in a black t-shirt, gray cargo pants, black sneakers, and with his blue hoodie on. He blushed as he made eye contact with Riley, running a hand through his messy black hair as the girl looked away again. Sorry about that. Somebody... Hiro paused to shoot an angry glare at Tadashi, who merely grinned back at him. Told me there was a fire. No, it isn't. It can't be foreshadowing, can it? It isn't. Tip snorted in amusement, causing Hiro to blink in surprise as he noticed her. Hi, Hiro greeted awkwardly. I don't think... I'm Tip. I just moved in across the street from Riley. She's showing me around, Tip said quickly before looking at Riley. Man, I really hate telling people the same stuff over and over again. Tell me about it. It's what happens when you meet a whole new group of people, I guess, Riley replied with a shrug as she picked up another donut and began eating it. You get some of Aunt Cass's food? Hiro questioned as he walked around the table and sat across from Tadashi. Well, A, it is customary for guests to be treated with the same food as the people in the household, and B, she did just save your butt from some street thugs. Do you not think she deserves a reward? It's a reward for saving you last night, Tip explained. Tip, you just read my mind! That's literally what I just said! Oh, she told you about that? Hiro questioned with an embarrassed smile as he ran his hand through his hair again. She was pretty awesome, though. No, I wasn't, Riley argued with a roll of her eyes. I'm pretty sure that guy you hit with the hockey stick was limping afterwards, Hiro pointed out. Trust me, you were awesome. Riley blushed and smiled at the praise, tucking a strand of hair behind her ear. Well, I just hope you learned a lesson from all of this, Tadashi said seriously as he looked at his brother. Yeah, make sure I carry a hockey stick with me next time I go, Hiro replied with a snort, causing Tadashi to sign frustration. So it's true what Riley said then, Tip questioned. That you're already out of high school and you spend your time bot fighting. More or less, Hiro answered with a shrug. What he should be doing is using that big brain of his to do something worthwhile, Tadashi stated. Like what? Hiro questioned, crossing his arms and giving his brother a contemptuous smirk. Go to college like you, where I can sit around and have people tell me things I already know? Unbelievable. Unfreaking believable. Tadashi said nothing as he leaned back in his chair. He took off his hat, ran a hand through his hair and sighed. Looking at Hiro, Tadashi gave his brother a thoughtful look before smiling and placing his hat back on his head. Why don't you come check it out? Tadashi suggested. See what you're missing. You want me to go to your nerd school? Hiro questioned, quirking his eyebrow at Tadashi. Yeah, Tadashi stated, a confident grin on his face. You've never seen my lab before. You should check it out. I don't want to check out your nerd lab, Hiro said with a shake of his head as he looked away. Hiro. If I'd actually met you in real life, I would have words with you. What do you do there? Riley questioned, looking over at Tadashi and ignoring Hiro as he blinked at her in surprise. I shared a lab with a bunch of my friends, Tadashi replied as he smirked at Riley, earning a knowing smile from the girl. We work on all sorts of projects over there. It's some pretty cutting-edge stuff. You go to the big college here in the city? Tip asked, sharing a look with Riley. Yeah, Tadashi answered with a nod. That's a pretty prestigious school, Tip commented offhandedly. I've heard of it, even in Barbados. I think we should check it out, Riley said as she turned her attention to Tip. Yeah, Tip agreed with a nod as she glanced at Riley. He did say he would show us around. That I did, Tadashi concurred. Alright, I'll go borrow the keys and Cass's truck and we can head out. Do you want to come, Hiro? Riley questioned as she looked at the boy who was glancing around the table in confusion. Yeah, sure, Hiro replied uncertainly. Awesome, Tadashi said as he stood up, prompting the others to do the same. I'll meet you guys outside then. What about Pig? Tip questioned as Hiro got up and headed for the door. Glancing at the stairs, Riley noticed that Pig had laid down next to Mochi and was happily snoozing away. I think I'll be okay, Riley replied with a chuckle. That's your cat? Tadashi questioned as he glanced at Pig, earning a nod from Tip. I'll ask Aunt Cass to keep an eye on it. A couple of joggers. Thanks, Tip said with a smile before she headed for the exit as well. Hey, Tadashi said to Riley as she got up to leave, causing the girl to pause as he grinned at her. Nice job. Nice job with what? Riley questioned with a smirk, earning a laugh from Tadashi as she left to join her new friends. Well, this chapter, things are looking up for Riley. She's got new friends. She's going to see the school that Hiro will inevitably have to go to, or inevitably want to go to. Want to go to. I'm not pointing at anything. And if I'm playing my cards right, I won't have recorded for about an hour through my rambling. Here's the office note. Thank you so much for your feedback, guys. I wasn't expecting the first chapter to be as popular as it was, and your encouragement really pushed me to get the second chapter out as soon as possible. And surprise, as I hinted last chapter, there is more than one crossover in the story. I mean, I wasn't trying to hide or anything. The site just doesn't let me put more than 2 properties in the crossover section. Anyway, I hope you guys like the inclusion and what I plan to do with all the characters. As always, feedback and critiques are welcome, so please review. Later! And that crossover, ladies and gentlemen, that third one, is the DreamWorks movie Home. Tip and Lucy come from that movie, but I won't spoil anything from that because, well, I've yet to see it, and this looks like an alternate continuity for Home. So anyway, I hope you all enjoy, hope you all have a nice day, and as always, I'm the Masked Ranger saying, keep moving forward. You have a good day too, Finmonster. Never stop creating. Bye for now.